Hi, everybody. My name is Samantha Fair, and I'm a brand strategist based in New York City. I'm so excited to be hosting today's Fiverr session called Building Your Personal Brand with Fiona Bloom. Fiona, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes, hello, Fiverr audience. I'm very excited to be here. Wow, yes. So I'm Fiona Bloom. I am an industry veteran, as they say. I've been in this business for over 35 years. Actually started out as a musician, concert pianist, and violinist. So really, without going into my real age, I've been doing this a very long time. After being a musician, I then got into radio as a DJ radio personality in Atlanta, Georgia. And from there, I moved to New York as a marketing director at a big record label called EMI Chrysalis. So, what I'm doing today, fast forward, is a branding one stop shop marketing agency called The Bloom Effect, right here from Brooklyn. And it's basically concentrating on emerging and new artists, a lot of unsigned and emerging artists, in developing their brand strategy, giving them a voice, giving them exposure, through press, PR, marketing, international consulting, playlist promotion, booking, tour strategy, pretty much whatever it takes to just get your name out there and create that buzz and build that bloom. No pun intended, Fiona Bloom. So yeah, that's basically what I've been doing. And the Bloom Effect is about 10 years old. And as I'd mentioned prior, multiple record companies. I also had a hand in booking Joe's Pub Public Theater in New York. I have done a bunch of festival bookings and yeah, just traveled all over the world scouting
It's
talent.
amazing. So it sounds like you've really been on all sides of this production. What inspired you to start doing this part of it for work? What about this facet of the industry inspires you?
You know what? I've always wanted to, build on artists' voices and just getting them heard. I've always felt me being a former, musician myself and, really trying to find my way, started out starving, struggling, just really wanting to fulfill this dream, attain my goals, and get to the top and do it by all means necessary. So I recognize that in other artists. And when I see talent in its truest, rawest form, I just gravitate to it. I just gravitate and want to help. I just want to help in every way that I can. And it's not even just in the last few years with doing the Bloom Effect. It's really my whole life. Like my whole life outside of being a musician, I've always wanted to help the underdog and always wanted to help talented artists no matter what. Mainly in music, but, also in art and film and, book publishing, authors, whatever they are, whatever facet of the art business, whatever discipline they're in, I've always sort of found it my MO, my raison d'etre, if you will, to just help them wherever I can and as best I can. So I would want to say it's really been my calling from the moment that I was born, and more than ever with the work that I'm doing now.
So it really sounds like your passion for helping artists comes from, wanting them to be heard and seen and to get their magic and their talent out in the world. And a lot of that, as you know better than anybody, comes from branding, personal branding and professional branding. What role would you say that personal and professional branding play in an emerging artist's journey? I know that's something, it sounds so vague when you talk about it. And I think for our community here, it's important to kind of explain what that really means and how that can help them progress their careers.
Absolutely. Wow. I mean, honestly, personal branding and professional branding in an emerging artist career is everything. I mean, I always like to tell the artist it starts and ends with the brand, with the logo, with your art, with visual. Everything's so visual, everything's so about image. And you've got to come out the gate with that image because there's not a lot of forgiveness here. There's not a lot of like, oh, we bombed that and we got to start over and kind of like regroup and do a whole overhaul. I mean, you can obviously do that, but it's really best to have this think tank and this really kind of like a space where you come together and think, okay, what is it about me and my art? Like, what resonates the most with me? What am I most passionate about? You want to get across your most authentic voice. You have to be really, really true to yourself. And that's the part that's your personal brand, authentic and genuine and true to yourself. And then when it comes to like putting that out to the world, you want to do it in the most professional way. You want to make sure that everything's seamless across all social media, across all your DSPs, digital streaming platforms. You want to make sure that you have the same image, whether that's on Tidal versus Amazon versus Pandora Amp versus, Spotify and Instagram and TikTok. You want to make sure that you've got that same image, you've got that logo, you've got everything that is just completely in one seamless operation. So it kind of manifests out there, transcends. And, as far as imaging goes and visuals, again, you don't want to put something out there and regret it afterwards. So you just want to make sure that everything is on point and that everything matches exactly what you represent and exactly what you want to convey to that audience. Who are you? At the end of the day, it comes down to who are you? What do you represent? What's your narrative? And what are you trying to accomplish? And what do you want to be heard? How do you want to be heard? So it's your story, it's your narrative, it's the whole storyline, it's the backstory, it's everything about your journey and packaging, imaging, art, your logo, your look, the feel, everything has to be unified and with purpose. And I mean, I can't stress enough how vital that is. I always tell artists that that is just as important as the music, if not more. It's all part of the art. It goes part and parcel with the art. You cannot have the music without the visual. You cannot have the content without the creative and the brand behind it. Because with the audiences today, especially with social media, they want to know every single thing about you. What you're eating, what you're wearing, what sort of sports you're into, what are your hobbies, how do you wake up in the morning, what do you like to do for exercise? Every single thing all builds into your brand.
Totally. And I think, it sounds like that's a lot of what you do at the Bloom Effect is help people define their personal brands. What can that, once someone does define their personal brand, what can that do for their career? How can that amplify what they're already doing?
Everything. I mean, again, we're in such a visual world. We're in such a rich, contextual visual world where we listen to something, but we want to see it. We want to see it with our own eyes. We want to put a face to the voice. So once you have that brand intact, that's everything. That's in your packaging, whether you're releasing something, whether it's a single, whether it's on vinyl, it's the art that you release on vinyl. That becomes your poster. That's your USB that you're promoting, whether you're at South by Southwest, whether you're at Canadian Music Week or Indie Week or Fiverr's Virtual Music Conference, wherever that is, you want that packaging and, look and feel to match the music. And so once find your voice and once you find your authentic, feel and passion and image, all of that combined is what you use going forward to present yourself and represent yourself in the best possible way. So whether you're trying to book shows, whether you're going on tours, that's what booking agents see. When you're promoting to press, when you're putting out press releases and then the journalist or the editor wants to do an interview, when they're talking to you on the phone or if they're on Zoom or they're doing a StreamYard interview for radio or doing television, whatever that is, they already feel like they know everything about you based on everything that they've read, everything that they've seen, even before they've even listened to the music, because it's that brand that they really tap into and they adopt. And that's how fans really embrace the music and the art as well. They adopt that brand as they're listening to your music. So, it's sort of like you can't have one without the other.
Do you reach out to talent? Are you the one proactively going to them? Do they come to you seeking help, or is it a mix of both?
It's really a mix of both. I mean, from all the work that I've done, I've obviously built up a great reputation, I'd like to think. Um, I have a lot of integrity that comes with that as well, but I've worked very hard to keep my reputation intact. And I have a very, I'd like to say pretty much a 98%, result rate. I really just get results. as publicists and as branding people, we don't guarantee things, but we definitely bring a lot to the table with, our relationships over the years, getting things in the door, getting people to listen. And it's sort of a mix because, all the artists that I've worked with are very, very pleased with the results that I produced. And then industry is seeing everything that I brought to the table, developing an artist that you've never heard of, and 6 8 months later, they're everywhere. They're ubiquitous. It's like, oh my God, I remember you talking about that artist that nobody'd heard of, and then suddenly I'm reading about it, I'm hearing about it, I'm seeing it here. They're on tours, they're in magazines, they're all over socials, they're on my Spotify recommends. It's like I can't, wake up in a day and not see their name. And so, I don't want to take all of that credit, but I can take a lot of that credit. And with all of that success, people hear about that. And so artists actually come to me and say, hey, I want to get some of that bloom effect. Or I want to get, what you did with Sub Radio, or what you did with the Zombies, or how you managed to resurrect a band like Tower of Power on the Road, or Simple Minds. Like, I'd like to get some of that as well. And what would it take to get you on board for our, new album or campaign or tour, etc. And then sometimes I go out and seek them as well. Like, there may be a band that I'm really totally passionate about that would die to work with. There's a lot of those bands that I would die to work with. But I don't want to poach any artists. You have to be really careful. I walk a really fine line because, again, I have a lot of integrity with what I do, and I'm very careful and meticulous. And so first thing I do is want to see who represents them. Do they already have a publicist? Do they already have a team in place? If they have a team in place, I'm not touching them. But if they're completely unsigned or brand new and really don't have anybody on their team, then yeah, I'm going to go chase them down. I'm going to go stalk them. Oftentimes I'll see them at a conference and go back after their show, or I'm at another show and I'm in the green room and I'm chatting with them. Or, it's a friend of a friend referral. And then, I contact them through somebody telling me, suggesting them to contact them, that they're looking for somebody. So it's a bit of a mixture, but I'd say 70% come to me first. Yeah.
Right. And it sounds like you know at what point to reach out to bands proactively. Like you check if they have a team, you see where they're at, you see
Mhm.
what they've got going already and how you can fit in and help for the future. But I think, a lot of our community, what they're going to do is seek representation and seek that help themselves. So at what point in
Right.
their journey should they, like, at what point are they ready? At what point should they reach out to you and say, hey, I need help? And you look at them and you're like, okay, you're in a good place for me to kind of get to work.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, there's a gazillion bands out there. I mean, honestly, like 5 million bands, probably more across the world. It's insane. And all of them want to get noticed. All of them want to be discovered. All of them want to get to the next level. They all want to go on tours. They all want to put records out. And it's not, always suggested that an artist hires a team or hires a publicist or hires a branding expert right out the gate. I often tell artists they should at least have 2 years under their belt of hardcore building their social profile, getting those Spotify streams up, pushing out playlists, promoting community, just growing their stats, their statistics, their analytics all across the board, just really growing that incrementally. And just a profile and foundation on social media. It doesn't have to be all the social platforms, but at least work on getting your Instagram up to at least 10,000 followers. Your YouTube channel should at least have 5,000 subscribers, at least 500,000 views on all the live clips you're putting out and the behind the scenes clips and some music videos. So until you sort of get to that level of 10,000 Instagram followers, I mean, I know that sounds like a lot, but it's not really, considering there's artists out there that you've never heard of that literally came up overnight in 3 months already with 1 million TikTok followers, right? So it's not that difficult if you're actually putting out content and you put out singles and you keep that consistently and have that consistent flow of releases. One single a month or one single every 2 months, and you just push that within your own community, within your own audience. That multiplies. That's word of mouth. And then you play locally, you build up your local buzz, your local base. And, there's so many ways to do it. And then, once you put out a few singles and you build up your Spotify streaming and you've got, all your DSPs and your branding looks good, and you build up a nice social media following, and you've done a couple of shows in your market, and maybe you've gotten in your broken down van or little car and taken off and gone to your regional area, or maybe 3 or 4 different markets in the area. Once you've gotten to that level, then it's time to actually come to someone like me and say, look, I want to put out an EP, or I want to, get on the road and really do this seriously. I'd like to maybe do 10 dates or 15 dates. I'd love you to do tour press, or I'd really love to take my image to the next level. Maybe you can, strategize and get me with a professional photographer, an art director, somebody to help me with YouTube advertising, social media advertising, all of that stuff. That's kind of the right time to do that. Once you've already put material out yourself, you've already made a little bit of a splash underground, little bit of a buzz, not a big buzz, but enough to kind of get people, knowing that, okay, it's a little story here. You're developing a story, you're creating a bit of a buzz, there's some knowledge about you, and you really have what it takes to get out there and kind of, tackle the world. That's kind of the right time to do it. So I'd say 2 years, starting out 2 years. I mean, there's always exceptions. You could always start out and have someone like Questlove discover you immediately, or, somebody take you on the road and open up on some dates, like maybe Billy Joel heard you accidentally on a radio show, with one single out and says, oh, I want to take him on the road. There's always those flukes. But for the most part, you need at least 1 to 2 years under your belt. Yeah. They always say success didn't happen overnight. Rome wasn't built in a year, right? So there are no such things as overnight success. That overnight success is, as they say, more than 10,000 hours.
So, when you are seeking a client, when you approach a client or when a client approaches you, what do you look for? Like, what screams like, I want to work with this person? What, besides the kind of stuff they've already done, what quality is there? And is that maybe something that all your current clients have in common?
Wow, there's so many different attributes to that. And this could be like a very long formed, winded answer, but I don't want to go crazy with this one. I feel like it's in the gut. Like, you see an artist and you feel like there's something that you're drawn to, whether it's their image, whether they have like the wildest, craziest image that is just undeniable, that is going to translate in volumes, that is going to exude with audiences around the world, that are going to make people just feel good. Because at the end of the day, you want the artist to, convey that feeling and exude that feeling of just, you know, um, feel good energy, and just want to, see you more and more and more, and just want to be in the situation where you just can't get enough. You want to be around an artist that you're like, I just could live with this artist 24/7. Like, I could listen to this all day long. I could look at you all day long. I could watch you all day long. Like, you are magnetic. You are, just, you resonate something so special and magical. It's just it's magic. It's the magic. And sometimes it could be just the image. Other times it could be just the infectious songs. I mean, the songs that just make you, warm and fuzzy, just make you just forget about all your, dark and gloom and depression and stress, and just forces you to just forget everything that you left, and just bring you to that moment, and just want to just stay in that forever, you know? And I've got lots of artists like that. I mean, I've got an artist that's called Sub Radio from DC. I mean, you see them live, you watch them, you talk to them, you see them in the room, even then when they're not performing. They're just so warm and fun, and warm spirited and joyful, and you just want to associate with them. You just want audiences to discover them, and you know that once the audience discovers them, they're just going to want more and more and more. So that's one band. They're called Sub Radio. They're infectious pop. I mean, the music that they make is just fuzzy. It's just, pop. It's just, warm and beautiful and bouncy, and makes you want to move and groove. And, so that's just one band. They have a great look. They're young, they're positive, they're upbeat, they've got a great vibe. And, then there's an artist from years ago, you might see it on my wall, MF Doom. who rest in peace, he had the metal face. I mean, you never saw what he truly looked like. Whether he was on stage, had the mask, whether you had meetings with him, he had the mask, the interviews was with the mask, and you were just desperate to know like who's behind the mask, but also you didn't even want to know because you loved the mystery. And sometimes that mystery adds to the excitement and the moment in time that you just want to keep still and not let loose and just know that you want to just keep that and just stay with that forever. So MF Doom, there's other artists. Gosh, I mean, Set It Off is a great band. I mean, they're a trio. They're, guitar, drums, and vocals. And you just look at them and they're just so bright. They're so neon colored. Their hair's pink and green and yellow and orange and piercings everywhere and funky outfits. And you just know by looking at them that they're going to sound great. You can just feel it, their energy. It's about their energy. It's just really hard to put a pinpoint to what it is, exactly what that is. But, I like to say it's that magic. It's that feeling that you just can't describe. Words can't really describe it, and you can't put it in a box. And I always like to say, it's almost that genie in a bottle that you just like, unleash to the world. And then suddenly it's all that magic fairy dust. Because at the end of the day, that's kind of what it is. It's just like that fairy dust. And yes, you want to have that talent to back it up, and you want to be able to have that good voice and the charisma. But again, the voice doesn't even have to be amazing to be a world renowned artist. It's that charisma, it's that energy, it's that vibe, it's that gut inside that just makes you feel,
Yes, I
like,
totally know exactly what you mean.
it's just crazy. You just can't put it in one, little form of, description there. It just really, it's very hard to describe.
Yeah. So, okay. So we've gotten to the point where, either a potential client has approached you or you've sought out that potential client and, say you sign and you're like, we're going to work together. How do you then help them? What have you done for your existing clients, for past clients? You help them get on tour. Do you, help them, get press? What does that kind of working relationship look like?
All of the above. Because I'm multifaceted, because the agency is a one-stop shop and works in marketing, international consulting, branding, PR, playlist promotion. It's basically all of the above. I mean, I've had artists, get on, iHeartRadio. I've done, loads of artists have gotten reviews and Billboard and Variety and Polestar and Rolling Stone and, Entertainment Weekly, Pace Magazine, Pitchfork, People Magazine. I mean, I just booked something on the Kelly Clarkson show that's happening next month. I've done artists booked on Stephen Colbert, Jimmy Kimmel, Ari Melba. It's just, there's so many facets to what I bring. So it's a lot of exposure in media, and the media is television, it's print, it's blog, it's podcasts, it's radio, it's live streaming. And then, I've also helped artists get on tours. I've helped put unknown artists and emerging artists in front of, major artists. I've helped get bookings. I've gone to talent buyers themselves and booked artists. I just booked a client at Ram's Head Tavern in Annapolis. My jazz guitarist Stefan Rembel. I just booked him at World Cafe Live in Philadelphia. I've booked shows at the Bowery Electric. I booked shows in LA. I mean, I book shows really all over the world, but primarily here, in the US. So I definitely have a hand in bookings, definitely have a hand in finding support slots on major tours. For example, Hollis Brown, a few years back, I helped get them on the Counting Crows tour with Citizen Code. Also with Chris Robinson from the Black Crows from back in the day. I've just put AJ Smith in the ears of Billy Joel. He actually wrote a song called Billy Joel. So I got it to Billy Joel's publicist, who then got it to Billy Joel, who then shared it all over socials and was like, AJ Smith, you should open up on some dates with me at some point. So we're pursuing Billy Joel. So, I have a hand in those things. I actually got AJ Smith a whole free year of free rent, being the face of a new condominium, luxury condominium that came up in Nashville. Got him 1 year's free rent. So I hooked that up. I just got Stefan Rembel he just did a guitar camp. I just hooked up Daddario strings with giving them all free guitar strings to all the guitar students, and humidifiers. So, Daddario sent them packs to all their guitar students. I got Rise Brewing Company that does the cold brews and the oat milks. I got them to ship tons of product to AJ Smith for them on the road when they were touring on their last tour. Gangsta Grass, which is my bluegrass hip hop group. I've had them initiatives with Oxfam. We've done initiatives with Little Kids Rock, where they'll do programs where Little Kids Rock will go out to all their students and then put Gangsta Grass in their newsletter that goes out to several millions of people. So it's just really all across the board. I've worked with tons of brands. AJ Smith's doing something with Spiral, which is a banking system right now, where he's sort of doing a social media campaign for Spiral. He's just done something for Brooklyn Cloth. He's about to do something for another brand that we're working on as well. So yeah, I mean, it's just I match them with brands. I get them loads of press. They're in front of television. They're in front of radio. I get them playlist promotion. AJ Smith's new record's coming out tomorrow called Nobody, and I just got him playlist promotion on 2 Tidal playlists. I've got an Apple playlist. I've got an Amazon playlist. I've even done Amazon exclusives. Yeah, I mean, just you name it, I've done it. I mean, I've gotten my artists on MTV. I've gotten BET coverage. I just got something exclusively premiered on Rock the Bells, which is LL Cool J's platform. I've done stuff with Adidas. I've done stuff with Poland Spring. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So, yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it sounds like really what you do is you create opportunities for these people. You find opportunities for them to get out in front of a bunch of other people. Sometimes really big, important other people, sometimes just a lot of people. But that's something that's a mission that Fiverr shares, right? So Fiverr's whole thing is to, create a community setting where people can, find opportunities to push their work and to create something bigger and better and have support there. How do you think a community like Fiverr's opens the door for emerging artists to opportunities? I mean, there are a ton of ways that I can think of off the top of my head, but I'd love to hear your professional perspective.
Yeah, sure. Goodness, pretty much every one of my artists has used Fiverr, whether it's trying to, get a new logo or a graphic design for a flyer or a poster, album art, even liner notes, like whatever it is, even finding sound men, going on tour, getting some tech stuff. We've used Fiverr for pretty much everything. And, thank God for Fiverr. Thank God for you guys, because it's enabled artists to have a resource that's affordable and economical. Because if you went out to the general marketplace to look for a graphic designer or somebody to do your logo or art for your next album, you could be, or even a video director, you could be spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And before you know it, you've gone through a budget of 50 grand and you're broke, and an artist doesn't even have 50 grand, so they have to raise it on a GoFundMe or a Kickstarter or Indiegogo. So with your platform now, they have the means to not have to go to start a whole crowdsourcing campaign. Now they can do something in fashion that's affordable, and using your resources, and then not just using the resources to get work done, but then actually being able to promote by using the community that once they've done all that work with, can now also promote and spread the word of their music and their art as well. So it's incredible what you guys have done. And I actually watched you from the beginning, because I think I was first using Fiverr. I think one of my ex-boyfriends told me about Fiverr maybe like 8 years. I don't know how long you guys have been around, but I feel like 10 years ago.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I think that's something that's so special is, right? Like we're all on the same mission, right? We're all trying to create opportunities for these artists. And I think, the more people there are, the merrier, the more listeners there are, the more creators there are, the more business people there are. I think we're all kind of working together to create a better world for these artists to release music in.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an ecosystem, right? At the end of the day, and that's what Five has done, is created that ecosystem for the artists to affordably and, a little bit more with ease be able to facilitate and navigate this crazy world that we're in. So yeah, thank you, Fiverr. Yeah.
I think a lot of the conversation around the music industry focuses on the artist and on the music itself. Those things tend to be at the forefront of the stage because in real life, those are also the things on the stage, right? Everybody's a fan of the artist or the song, but I think a lot of people don't actually think about what goes on behind the scenes all the time. And in our Fiverr community, we have a ton of artists and we have a ton of people who, create music, but there are also a lot of people who are aspiring, business professionals, people who are interested in being behind the scenes doing kind of what you do, right? The marketing and the publicity and the branding. There's so much that goes into it. And not everybody wants to be that person on stage singing the songs and, taking the photos. So there are a ton of people who want to do what you want to do or what you do already, what you've been doing for 35 years. So, coming from the perspective of a professional, someone who's a total veteran in the space, how can someone get started doing what you do?
There are various ways to get into this business. A lot of it is, by making connections, building relationships. Even starting out with, the baby bands, the unsigned bands that you go to in your local community. It can start with, hey, if you love the band, let them know that you'll do whatever it takes to help spread the word for them. Can I hand out flyers? Give me flyers, give me posters. I'll put them up at the local coffee shops. I'll go hand them out, in the local community. I'll just spread the word and get out there. Or, hey, do you need somebody to go on the road with you? I'll do, set up your merch for you at the table. So a lot of times you can just get friendly with the band. If the band get to see you, and they start feeling comfortable with you, they see you at their gigs, they're going to want you to be on their side anyway, and they're going to welcome the love and the support. I mean, they need it. They need it. So if you were to come up and say, is there anything I can do? 9 times out of 10, the artist is going to be like, absolutely. I'd love you to help do some promotion for us, some PR for us. So that's a very good way to kind of get a start into the business. Find a band that you're really into or a singer-songwriter that you love, that you've come to see and, really believe in. Other ways are, interning. It's great to get your hands and feet wet straight from, right there within the company, getting in from the ground and just, doing whatever it takes, even if it's getting coffee for them in the mornings, starting out just being in their, in their corporate culture to kind of understand what goes on, the ins and outs of being in that company. So interning is great. There's loads of school programs that I didn't have back in the day where you can actually now go to school or take online classes or even, adjunct. You don't even have to actually enroll in school to get the degrees. They're like external programs that you can have, extracurricular, where they're music business programs that are offered to you. It's incredible. There's music business programs in branding, in marketing, in finance behind the scenes, in, creative. Really, pretty much in every facet of the business, you can find a school, somewhere online that you can take classes. And they're not expensive. Obviously if you want to enroll full time, it's going to cost. That's a bit of an investment. But if you're taking 1 or 2 classes or workshops, there's loads of them. You can look online. There's a load of resources out there at your fingertips to be able to, just get in there and learn that way. And when you go into those music business programs, they have access to all the companies that need interns or all the companies that you could call and send your resume. And then, get on Indeed and get on LinkedIn, find headhunters and look for entry level positions that way as well. Go to your local library. There's always, you're going to see flyers on the walls, on bulletin boards, going to your bookshops, going to record stores, talking to people in the community, talking to people on the phone, talking to people online, joining Facebook groups, joining, Reddit subgroups, there's Slack, there's all kinds of places now with channels that you could find, to learn and to sort of gravitate to places that you can actually learn and get into the industry. I mean, even getting on a Twitch weekly, there's everything now is just so much easier than it was before. When I came up, it was really a very closed circle. It was like an industry that you could not get into to save your life. It was like for, the elite. It was like not an equal playing field. There was really no entry in. It's like you had to work for 5 years for free before you even got a break, before you could even get an entry level gig. Nowadays, it's like you can get an entry level gig after you've interned for 6 months and or after you've finished a music business program. Suddenly, with the networking that you've done and, a little stroke of luck and timing, you're in. It's so much easier today than it was all those years ago. So much easier. And people are accessible. You can look anyone up and find them. We couldn't find them back then. We had to have their phone numbers. If you didn't have their phone numbers, their receptionist and secretaries were cock blocking you. You couldn't get in. If the secretary and receptionist didn't like you or didn't know you, you would not be transferred, into, or not transferred in. You wouldn't be, pulled into getting them online. You couldn't get them on the phone. They wouldn't, that's just it. They just wouldn't do that. So they would stop you almost from getting in the door. You could not get in the door, anywhere. But now it's like so much easier to get in the door. It's so easy to just, the playing field is just like leveled out. Anybody who's anybody with ideas, that has a great attitude, that's friendly, that perseveres, can get in and make it.
Well, and that's really the beauty of the internet and something that I think Fiverr in particular does a great job of capitalizing on, right? It's the great equalizer. It creates opportunities, it creates access, it gives people, the chance to
Mm-hmm.
kind of get in the door and be on that even playing field. And something about what you just said really stands out to me, which is that, um, this is just going to usher in a whole new wave of people doing exactly what you do. And you've been in this industry for 35 years. I mean, before Fiverr existed, before any of these platforms existed, before a lot of, like you said, even these education programs existed. So, the industry is
Yeah.
evolving at a pace that is so rapid. And in particular, your role, it changes all the time, I'm sure. So, what are the steps you're taking to stay relevant as all of that starts to transform around you?
Yeah, relevance is so important. I mean, you want to be, in the cut. You want to be able to adopt all the new technologies that are out there. You have to stay relevant, so important because that's the way that the industry is going to, keep someone like me on their mind. It's going to make, an artist want to work with me. Nobody wants to work with, a company or, a person on their team that is old school, dare I say, or just not open to, new opportunities or thinking outside the box. So thankfully for me, from even the very beginning of my career, I was always very future forward, always future thinking, always forward thinking, always very innovative with everything that I did, never scared to try new things, always on the up with new mediums, always exploring, and discovering. And my whole, I would say half of my workday is with discovering, new platforms and discovering new technologies and new tools and new features. And you've got to constantly reinvent yourself. I've pretty much reinvented myself at least 10 times in the last 35 years, at least 10 times. And there's a gift to that because there's a lot of people that I work with, there's a lot of peers and a lot of, colleagues and dear friends over the years that basically are getting left behind. They're not adapting. They haven't evolved. I'll talk to them and say, hey, how is business? Or hey, what are you up to these days? And, without saying my age, but obviously I'm not 30, a lot of them are saying, oh, I just can't keep up with this biz anymore. I feel like I'm getting, left behind. I feel like I'm becoming irrelevant. I feel like I'm passe. I feel like nobody cares. I feel like, everything that I try to do these days, just gets lost and nobody's really listening. And I'm trying to weed through everything and everything's moving so fast. And, my answer to that is keep up. You've just got to keep up. There's no excuses. Of course, everything's moving so fast. Do you think I grew up with social media? I didn't even grow up with a cell phone. Do you think I even knew how to SMS when phones came out, the first cell phones, the first reiteration? I mean, I'm learning as I go, with trial and error. And it's okay to make mistakes. I mean, I'll never forget sending an email blast once that I didn't BCC everyone. Oh my God, okay, you make these mistakes. But when you make those mistakes, you learn from those mistakes, And, I've done crazy social media posts, 3 in the morning when I didn't have my glasses on and realized I had a ton of typos. And I realized maybe I was a little under the influence, a couple too many drinks, And maybe I was like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have said that, But then, hey, that's why we have a delete button. And then you can delete and then move on and make sure that never happens again. But, it's really, really important to study. I'm constantly educating myself. I'm constantly surrounding myself by young kids, by younger people. I'm mentoring students all the time. I've got interns that work for me and I learn from them. I have them join my meetings. If it's a social media meeting, a marketing meeting, a tour consulting, I want them on that call because these 20-year-olds have brilliant ideas, especially when it comes to, branding and especially when it comes to, getting your voice and finding your authentic voice when it comes to conveying that on social media. I'm not going to have the answers on TikTok. I don't ask me about how to use TikTok, effectively. Don't ask me about how to be on Twitch effectively or Slacker, Slack or Reddit. I mean, some of these platforms I'm great with. Others I'm grasping and I'm just getting by. You don't have to be proficient in every one of them, but there's people that just haven't even bothered to try. And that's just basically, there's no excuses for that. There's no excuses. If you're in this business, you need to stay abreast of every single thing that rolls out. And that's with live streaming technologies, right? That's with live streaming. There's different efficacies with live streaming. There's latency issues. So learn and understand what those latency issues are and how if you've got, people in different rooms playing instruments, how it's never going to sync up because of the speed of light, right? Understand and learn all those various methods and formats and technologies and the lingo. Get that lingo down because even if you don't understand all of it, at least knowing it for me to be able to speak about NFTs. I don't know every single thing about non fungible tokens, but I know enough to have a conversation. And as long as you have enough to have a conversation about crypto, about the blockchain and what blockchain's doing in the music business and how everything's being disruptive and what's going on now in live streaming and why it's important to have this art form with NFTs and why that's a new source of revenue and why NFTs is the same feeling of the internet boom that we were in 1999, why fast forward to 2022 we've got that same energy in NFTs. Why is it so meaningful and how is it going to shake up the world going forward in the future? So it's so vital to the work that we bring, the work that we're doing, and it's important to stay on top of all of this stuff for your clients. Otherwise, if you're behind and if you don't have that savvy and wherewithal, then you're doing your clients a disservice.
So, I think it's challenging to keep up with all of those things, right? There's so much of it just in volume and, they're all so complex and they all serve different purposes. And I feel like there's something new every day. So that's got to be a challenge in your job. But I'm sure there are a ton of other challenges and obstacles you face on a regular basis when there's so many moving parts to your role here. So tell me about those challenges. What are some of the hard things you deal with and how do you tackle them?
Well, I look at challenges as opportunities, right? For every challenge presents a new opportunity. And, because this business does evolve really, really fast and things are moving at the speed of light, I feel like every day I'm presented with something. There's a lot of challenges, for example, in, doing PR these days. I mean, it used to be that I could put out a press release, have a conversation with a journalist on the phone, and with my pitch and the way that I've successfully presented it with my enthusiasm and passion, that translated enough for the writer to be like, "You sold me. I'm doing this." But unfortunately, those days don't exist anymore because it's not about selling the journalist anymore with your compelling story and sales pitch and energy. Now it's about, well, what are the numbers? What is it going to do for us? If we do a story, in nylon, how much traffic are we going to get? How many eyeballs? A lot of it is clickbait now. A lot of it's all about data. Everything's very data driven. So it kind of takes, the fun and the work that I do, it sort of takes all of that away to sort of just the really at the end of the day, just the nuts and bolts. It just boils down to analytics. It's like you can have an amazing, talented artist with a great story and the most amazing profile, but yet the media doesn't want to cover it because there's not a lot of traction, because they don't have enough social media presence, or they don't have a big enough online story, or they're not touring, they're not really that visible. So that can be very, very frustrating. I've had a lot of passes from journalists because, yeah, nothing to do with the merit of the artist, but more because they just don't have enough visibility. But, that's also up to us as a publicist to bring that visibility. So it's kind of a catch 22. Well, how do we bring you visibility if the outlet is not willing to give us that visibility? There's just nobody going out on a limb anymore. That's the problem. There's nobody going out truly discovering and truly breaking an artist anymore. Everybody's kind of, if you look at all those same, whether it's Entertainment Weekly, the Fader, Pitchfork, Consequence, any of these magazines, you'll see Billboard, Variety, all of them. They just basically follow, you'll see 20 to 25 of the same artists in all of those outlets. It all gets regurgitated, it's all the same coverage. Occasionally, you might see a breakout artist, but that breakout artist that was mentioned in Consequence is now suddenly going to be that same artist that's covered all across the board. So, for other artists, like emerging artists I'm working with, it makes the level of entry that much harder. So yeah, so that's very, very challenging. Other challenges are getting support on the road. Tour support when you want to try to you know get your artists on to open for major artists. You can't just go to the booking agent anymore. So now you've got to pitch it to the manager. You've got to pitch it to the artist direct. You want to make sure the booking agent's on par. Then they're also looking at all your data, because then they also want to say, okay, well, the artist looks good, they sound good. But again, why are we putting this artist on the road to open for them? What kind of audience are they going to bring us? So now it's not just a matter of, okay, we want to put an audience in front of this artist. It's now a matter of, well, we'll take your artist only if we know they're good for 200 seats. And you're scratching your head thinking, well, wait a minute, we're opening. So surely we're the ones that would like to get, the attention of the audience that's already in the room to see your band. But it's now on us to bring in our own audience and our own value, to that entertainer and that artist as well. So, just stakes are a little harder. Back in the day, you could truly put a band on a bill that would truly open the audience up to discovering a brand new band when you're there to see, the other band you paid a lot of money for. Yeah, now these days you can't just do it like that anymore. Again, it's all about data. Everybody looks to see, how many Spotify followers you have, how many streams you're getting here, what your social media presence looks like. So, again, that's also can be a little disheartening, a little discouraging. But again, I look at that as opportunities, because I look at that as just show and prove. And you just keep being relentless and persevere, persevere, persevere till eventually they can't deny you. Till eventually they're like, oh my God, Fiona, you're still pitching us a year later or 2 years later. You know what? We need to give your band a chance. Okay, we'll finally do this for you 2 years later. It's a lot. Isn't that a lot of effort to finally get a slot for something after 2 years of hard work, being in their face, doing every single thing to set that up to, be ready to tackle on something like that? It's crazy. I mean, I feel for all of these artists. I really do, because it's a much more difficult climate than it's ever been before. And also back in the day, Sam, we didn't have that many artists to compete with. We had maybe 2,000 artists. I pretty much knew all of them. Today, I don't know any of these artists. I'll go to the tour and I'll say, well, who did you end up, I'll go to the agent. So who did you end up putting on the bill to open for these next 10 dates? And they'll tell me an artist I've never heard of. Never heard of them. But you go on their TikTok channel and yeah, they got 1 million followers, which is 500,000 more than my bands have, or 80.5% more than my artists have. So, That's the thing. And then also the other thing you're going for is, when you're trying to get playlists, playlist ads, when you're going for editorial playlists on Spotify and Amazon, etc. Again, you're competing. You're competing with everybody else that's releasing singles that week. I don't like to think of it like that because it's really daunting. But now that you've broken it down and posed it to me that way, I do think of it like, wow, I am one of hundreds of people in their ears, in those curators' ears, those editorial playlist ears of trying to get featured in their playlist for New Music Friday or New Release Radar or whatever it is that's the hot playlist for Tidal for the R&B listening room or and they're only going to pick 20 singles, if that. They can't pick more than 20. I mean, the playlist itself is not going to be more than 30 or 40 songs. So let's say they're picking 20, and I'm one of hundreds of people in their ears for the song that's coming out this week on Friday. So again, very highly competitive. So, those are the challenges, right? But again, I look at all those challenges as opportunities to get the playlist, opportunities to get my band on a supporting bill for this new tour, or getting my artist featured in, Friday's songs you need to hear on Rolling Stone, or 10 cool pop songs on Billboard. I don't care that it's just 10 songs. I'm going to get one of those songs, god damn it, by hell or high water. And if it doesn't happen this time, guess what? It'll happen the next time. And if not the next time, down the road. And then it eventually happens. You get it. And I've gotten a lot of those 10 cool pop songs for Billboard. I got lots of them. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, given, that all of these are opportunities, I'm sure there are a couple of things that you've accomplished that you're really proud of, that, your artist is really excited about, that you're really excited about. What are you most proud of, you would say, out of all this work you're doing?
Oh my God, I've done so much. I mean, I feel like I've got so many accomplishments. I feel like we need another hour. I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own horn or sell or be braggadocious, but somebody has to, because again, oftentimes we're in this bank of thanks, or not everybody. I feel like we're the least appreciated. People behind the scenes, especially publicists, especially people that are in the marketing teams. We're always the ones that sort of get oversight, when it comes to being thanked on stage, whether it's at the Grammys or on a show or in liner notes in the credits. A lot of times we get overlooked. So, I say all that to say, I'm proud of a lot of things that I've accomplished, but two things, well, one major thing comes to mind right this minute is the Zombies. I basically, been on the Zombies team that resurrected them out of the ashes from obscurity to, getting them inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, through all of our hard work and my nonstop, getting them into various media and, in front of the industry and in front of just everybody's faces, hardcore, along with my team. I mean, we finally got them inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and that happened in 2019. And that was probably one of the most glorious, incredible, momentous moments of my career. That's the Zombies. They're actually getting ready to go on another North American tour, and they're putting out a new album this year as well at some point. So very excited about the Zombies. They're in their 70s, but they still keep going, just like the Rolling Stones and the Who and everybody else. And then another one is this singer-songwriter, Raul Midon. Two campaigns that I worked on for him both got nominated for Grammys.
Wow.
So I got to go with him walking down that monster huge, Grammy red carpet. And that was an incredible moment in my career as well, to not just go one time representing him, but twice. And he'd worked with many other publicists over the years. And I was the only publicist that managed to have an album that was Grammy nominated. So being with him was his first time being Grammy nominated. So now we're two times in, and we're hoping with this next album coming out, we're hoping it's three times, third time lucky we get a Grammy win. So fingers crossed on that.
We're all crossing our fingers for you. That is
Yeah,
spectacular. I mean, I mean, you have some amazing clients, right? I mean, these people, all of the people you were talking about are some of them are household names, and then some of them are emerging artists who will someday be household names with your
yeah.
help. But are there any artists that you wish you had the opportunity to work with, but you maybe missed out on it?
Yes.
Oh no, I feel like I hit a sore spot.
I know. I There's a lot. There's a lot. I mean, I've just you know how they say you shouldn't have regrets? Screw that. Screw that. I have regrets, okay? Let's just be frank. I have regrets.
Fair.
One of them is a band that I think you know of because they definitely got huge, and especially on the festival market or the festival circuit, I should say. They're called Tank and the Bangers.
Yeah.
They are a band from New Orleans. Okay,
Wow.
I am besides myself. So about 6 years ago or 5 years ago, about a year before they won the Tiny Desk competition, because that's really what ended up putting them on the map. Because once they won Tiny Desk, then all of a sudden they were on the festival circuit. Then all of a sudden they had all this incredible press, then the record deals and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so for 5 to 6 months straight, their manager called me almost every week. Like, Fiona, we're back in New York. I want you to come see Tank and the Bangers. We really would love to talk to you about doing PR. Fiona, can you make it? Fiona, we're opening up for such and such at Brooklyn Bowl. Fiona, we're here at this other place in Brooklyn. Fiona, we've got this gig in Manhattan. Can you meet us? And unfortunately, during that time, it was so hectic for me, so busy. Either I was on the road, either I was traveling at a conference, either I was, in the midst of doing my own campaigns with having shows that particular night in New York. I just was never, ever able to get it together to see the band, to meet the manager, to even have a real conversation on the phone other than, 2 minutes on the phone saying, yes, I'm interested. I'd love to come check you out, but never actually getting to the point where I did. And
Mm.
that's a big regret. I mean, who knows if I would have stayed being their publicist, but it's a regret to even know that I missed the opportunity to meet the band and even know that I could have possibly done some PR for them. And knowing the type of job that I do, I know I would have killed it with them and they would have stayed working with me. So, that's a missed opportunity. Another opportunity that I missed out on that I completely regret is an artist that, you know, was like an incredible, he's an incredible rapper that I discovered very early on in his career called Atmosphere from Minneapolis. Have you heard of him? Atmosphere. His
No.
name is Slug. Probably one of the incredibly gifted lyricists on the underground, backpack scene, probably worldwide. And he's gone on to sell millions of records. And the fact is, many, 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 many years ago, when I started a record label, when we had MF Doom, and even before when I signed other artists like Black Alicious to 321 Records, because I've had various record companies over the years, when I put out Black Alicious and did a compilation called Connected, I drove in a blizzard to Minneapolis in 1998 because I had heard of a band called Atmosphere. They were very underground, they were just very local, just in Minneapolis, had a big following in Minneapolis, but nowhere else. Went to go see them. I think the club was called First Avenue. Fell in love, desperately wanted to sign them. Went back to New York, stayed in touch, ended up bringing them to South by Southwest. They have a record label called Rhyme Sayers. So I bought the whole Rhyme Sayers label and band to showcase at South by Southwest and do a whole huge panel at South by Southwest, and then brought them to New York to do their first shows in New York during CMJ, and even
So
had
what's the opportunity you missed? This sounds
well,
amazing.
it was. The opportunity that I missed with that is the record label that I tried to sign them on eventually dissolved because sadly 9/11 happened and our
Mm.
company Subverse was down in Tribeca, only 3, 4 blocks from the Twin Towers. So we basically had to seize the operation. I severed ties and I ended up losing touch with Rhyme Sayers, losing touch with Atmosphere, and kind of fell off and just didn't have any communication whatsoever. And I feel like had I stayed in touch, had I have, with all the work that I'd done with Atmosphere and all the buzz that we'd created together, I'm sure I would have stayed very much on their team even 20 years later and being part of the success story of Rhyme Sayers and atmosphere. But sadly, I just fell out of touch. And we did reconnect, a few years ago, like 5, 6, 7 years ago. But honestly, that almost felt like, hey, I'm back now that you're successful. Just didn't feel right. So
Yeah. Well, and similarly to kind of, all those challenges and obstacles presenting themselves as opportunities, I mean, regardless of there being regrets, at the end of the day, you wouldn't be where you are right now without every decision you made in the past, or every accident, or every stroke of luck or misfortune, or any of it. It all comes back to it contributes to exactly where you are today. And I think the future of the business is going to present a lot more opportunities for you and for these artists who are emerging now, who are just kind of starting their careers, but are, on the precipice of something amazing. So, I'd love to hear from you about where you see the business going. I mean, what will it look like in the future, the near future, the long term future, and how do you prepare for that?
I think I mentioned that a little bit before when we talked about the future and how I stay relevant and, working in NFTs and blockchain and crypto and all of the different technologies that you have to embrace being in this business. But, as far as where I see it going, I mean, you're already seeing, trips to the moon and trips to Mars. I always used to say jokingly, I'd love to be the first promoter to do a tour on Mars. I feel
Yeah.
like the space odyssey is definitely a new frontier of where things will go in terms of touring at some point, whether it's 2030, 2040, 2050, or even when I'm long gone, that remains to be seen. But, obviously things are moving very, very fast. But I feel like as long as you can embrace all these new technologies, you just have to just be ready for everything that comes your way. Just again, just technology, just learning and understanding all the new technology. And the technology that we have now in blockchain, which is huge, the technology that we have in, the non fungible tokens, like how we're able to, save a piece of art and how we're able to use that digitally and how we're able to have our wallets and how we're able to secure our wallets and how eventually the tradition of banking as we know it is going to be severed. That institution is going to eventually crumble. I mean, I'm pretty sure all of that's going to crumble, and we're somehow going to be working in crypto, in the next 10 years. I mean, already certain companies and certain entrepreneurs are already dealing in crypto where they're just even having their salaries in crypto or their exchanges or their, paying expenses in crypto. We're going to see a more of a shared economy. We're going to see more of an open source community where everything's more trusted, in just an open source with easy communication and access, even more at our fingertips. The globe is going to get even smaller. Things are going to shrink as things open up. It's going to shrink to the extent that we don't really have to leave our rooms, but we can do, business globally, in a second just by, something that we're doing with a transaction. We're doing that now. None of that's changed. None of that's going to change that much more, except with the way we're doing our transactions. The way we're doing this virtual music conference is going to look very different in 10 years as well. It may not be the platforms that we're using anymore. It may be completely different platforms. The bandwidth's going to be much faster. We're already having broad bandwidth, but even the broad bandwidth today is not going to be as fast as it will be in 10 years. And we're slowly, I keep saying speed of light, but we will slowly get to that level where things will be instantaneous, where we can literally click our shoes and time warp, into the future in a capsule. And, I don't know if I'm going to be around to see it, but it's certainly exciting for the future generations, the Gen Zs and the generations after that, and to see what they're gearing up for and what is shaping, the landscape that we're working in now to see how it's all going to unfold and manifest in the future. I mean, it's all super, super, super exciting. And that's honestly what drives me the most is the opportunities that exist in the endless ways that we can market and promote with these new platforms and new features. It's just exciting to learn that they exist and that they are cropping up every single day. It keeps me on my A game. It keeps me, alert and abreast of everything that I should be, focused on and just putting my energies into, and allows me the resources that I wouldn't ordinarily have if I wasn't forward thinking and innovative with the business acumen that I have.
So, as we look into the future, there are currently millions of artists trying to break through and climb to the top with success and celebrity. And that number of artists is only going to get bigger as we start to have more stars. And as you said before, as the playing field begins to level out even more. The internet and all of the emerging technology and platforms have given everybody the opportunity to kind of do the thing, to achieve that dream. So, they're young. A lot of them are kids. A lot of the people who are going to be attending this conference have not been alive for as many years as you've been working in the industry, right? On TikTok, we see creators who are 13, 14, 15, 16 years old who dream of being that next success story. So, from you, I think I would love to hear, and I think our community would love to hear any advice or words of wisdom you have for them as a veteran in the field. How should they break through and climb to the top of that tower?
Yeah, there's quite a lot of advice that I can give, but obviously it starts with your passion. You've got to have the passion first and foremost, and the desire to do whatever it takes. Just, and whatever that means, like whether it means working 24/7, whether that means, trying to like look from within and just really find things that you can do to put you, apart from the rest of the flock so that you stand out. It's so important to stand out. It's so important to find that creative voice. It's so important to go after those goals and not miss opportunities, like I had spoken about before with regrets. You don't want to have regrets. I mean, it's hard to live through life and go through life with not having regrets. But at the same time, they always tell you you shouldn't have regrets. And the reason why you shouldn't is because you don't want to put yourself in opportunities where you say, I wish I could have done that, or I wish I should have done this better or done that differently. And the way you can, stop yourself from saying all that is to know what you have in front of you and just go after it in every possible way you can. Do your homework, listen to advice. I mean, there's times I wished I listened to advice. Sometimes I was so caught up in my own minutia that I didn't, minutia. Did I say minutia? Sometimes I got up in my own minutia that I just didn't listen to others. You have to be a good listener to make it in this business. People are out there that have good advice. I mean, some don't have good advice, some don't have your back and don't want to see you succeed, but there are others who do want to see you succeed and are going, to give you some good, sound advice and encouragement. So please listen to those people. Take in that advice. Be a sponge. Absorb everything that you can while you're alive on this universe and while you're young in this universe. Because sometimes I look back and I think, God, I wish when I was that young, I wish I embraced half the things I'm embracing today. Of course, we didn't have access to a lot of the things we have today, but there's still things I should have done that I didn't do, that I look back on and say, wow, if only I did. So, again, you don't want to think like that. You want to think of going in that, focused lane, just driven. Don't let anyone pull you in a direction that takes you away from your dreams and your desires and your goals and your passions. So, really just follow that really religiously. Waking up in the morning, to your lunch, to evening, to going to bed at night. Also, there's a mantra. You should have that mantra, the daily mantra. You should have daily aspirations. You should have, quotes of the day that you follow somebody that you look up to, and take some of their pull quotes and put them on your refrigerator, put them up when you go to sleep, put them in your mirror, in the cabinet when you're brushing your teeth in the bathroom, so you see all those messages, all those positive affirmations everywhere you turn, in your office, in your on your refrigerator, on your phone, in the bathroom, going to bed, on the wall, just everywhere, so that you're constantly reminded and that you don't lose sight of what it is that you're dying to, you know, evolve into and get through and become and get to the top and be that celebrity, or, just the desires and the passions that you have. You've got to start somewhere and climb. And as you climb and climb and climb and climb, never lose sight of who you are. Always stay grounded, stay true to who you are, be genuine, keep that authentic voice, but definitely have those reminders and those messages and those positive affirmations everywhere you go. And take them with you when you're traveling. Make sure that you have them with you. And listen to podcasts. There's so many great podcasts out there that are, wise and insightful, and just, really encouraging, uplifting podcasts. Follow those, subscribe to those, find some shows, find other artists that you're really, that you admire, that you're driven by, that you'd like to be. Don't emulate those artists, but find something significant in them that you might see in yourself, and then again, find your own voice and work towards your own, individual original aspect of it. But just don't lose sight of that, and just work until you get there. And the beautiful thing is, you're going to see the progress. And as you see the progress, that in turn gives you even more drive and even more desire to fight, to climb uphill, to keep going and going and going. Those positive, reinforced things, like, whether it's an article in a magazine, or whether it's a friend that came to a show that said, you really helped me get through a hard breakup, or you helped me find my voice, or, you ended up inspiring somebody else. Those little things all add up to the big picture, getting you to where you ultimately want to be. So definitely follow those goals and that advice, and listen to others, and find others that you're inspired by, and see what their daily ritual is. Find your daily ritual, and just be open to possibilities and be open to any opportunities. Don't be closed-minded. Be open, have a positive attitude. Attitude gets you so far in this business. Positive attitude, great work ethic, and be kind to people. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Treat people in the mailroom the same way you treat a CEO. Treat the bus driver, your postman, somebody in the FedEx office, somebody that's answering the call with AT&T. Treat everybody with the utmost respect. And doing all of that stuff is going to, in turn, bring all of this karma and all of this positivity that you're creating around you, is going to bring all of this stuff to you, as long as you keep that dream alive, and as long as you mentally envision and have, the vision to see everything unfold. You're going to win. You have all of those things in place. You are going to win. It's impossible to do it any other way, and it's impossible to not get to that end goal, to be the celebrity you're dying to be, to be the success that you're dying to have. Whatever drives you, wherever you want to take it, you're going to get there.
Well, Fiona, thank you so much. I think, everyone in our community can benefit from this advice, especially considering how long you've been in the industry, how successful you've been during that time. And, I know that our community is going to be so excited to hear all of this, and, is going to feel really inspired by your wisdom. So thank you so much for speaking with us today. I appreciate it. I know everybody else does too. And we are so grateful to have had you on our panel today.
Oh, thank you so much, Samantha. This has been so much fun, and I hope that it brings a lot of, knowledge, wisdom, encouragement, and inspiration to all the people that are going to be joining the Virtual Music Summit. I'm so excited for you guys. I love Fiverr. Keep doing what you guys are doing, and thank you again for having me.
Amazing. Thank you, Fiverr community. We will see you later.